Can't touch this. Can't touch this. If you weren't there, you can't possibly understand how big MC Hammer was. I was a kid, and Hammer was probably the first rapper I knew, but also just like one of the first celebrities I knew, period, even though I wasn't even allowed to listen to rap music. He had a level of fame and saturation that I don't think is even possible today. He modeled his approach to showbiz on Michael Jackson. He wanted to be rap's king of pop, and arguably he succeeded. But it sure did not last.
Is it true that you have 2,000 outfits?
Yes.
The collapse of the MC Hammer empire is pop culture legend at this point. He might honestly be more famous today for his issues with bankruptcy than for any of his songs, because the man could just not quit spending. He was too legit to quit spending. He managed to lose every last dollar he had, and several million that he didn't, through a combination of extreme generosity and equally extreme self-indulgence. But of course, that's only half the story. You see, the best way to not lose all your money is to keep making money. But Hammer was unable to sustain his career because he suddenly became very, very uncool. Modeling your career on Michael Jackson might have seemed like a good idea in 1990, but by 1993, no one would want to be Michael Jackson, in more ways than one. Once gangsta rap took over, overnight it was 187 on Hammer's entire image. He was getting attacked on all fronts, as soft, as a sellout, as a corny dancing buffoon in a stupid outfit. But there was one last-ditch effort to keep Hammer time from running out. And give him credit, he did try to change with the times.
Now why would I ever stop doing this? Give me the girls with the pump to the bump. Just when I'm out, did I hear another slump?
Yep, Hammer went hardcore. No more cartoon shows or Taco Bell commercials. With his 1994 album, The Funky Headhunter, Hammer was out to prove that he was the hardest thug in the hood. Yep, that actually happened. This is Train Records. The reason The Funky Headhunter didn't do well is it's kind of too obvious to even say. I can give it to you in one sentence. Hammer isn't a gangsta. The end. I've watched a bunch of interviews with Hammer from around that time, and it is so obvious. No one is buying it.
He's got a new album out and a new image. Gone are the days of the old Hammer. He now considers himself an OG.
Look at this guy, he can't even pretend.
He now considers himself,
And by he, we mean only he now considers himself
an OG.
I mean, the big difference was that he started dressing differently. A stocking cap and a baggy Falcons jersey doesn't make you a gangster any more than it makes you a member of the Atlanta Falcons. And he didn't ease into it either. It was just, bam, thugged out. It made about as much sense as if I, Todd, suddenly decided I'm not a YouTuber music critic anymore. I'm now a United States Senator. Look at me, everyone. I'm now Ronald Johnson, the senior senator serving the great state of Wisconsin. I transparently am not. No one is going to believe that. Listen to this intro.
It's in this place that dwells one of the truest of Macs, a street soldier, definitely on a mission.
None of that is true. But why is it not true? Look, Hammer is not the only rapper who had to fight to establish cred after getting called soft. It's not impossible to turn that around. LL Cool J pulled it off before him, Drake pulled it off after him. Hammer didn't half-ass it either. He tried as hard as he could. Why didn't it work for him? Well, the big reason is, and bear with me here, Hammer wasn't good to begin with. Now, this isn't a perfect comparison because, Hammer was such a big personality, but he was kind of the flow rider of the 90s. Big hooks, but completely forgettable lyrics. Hammer had hit after hit, but except for You Can't Touch This, no one knows a single line from any of them. And you know me, pop is not a bad word to me. I know all the words to Good Vibrations by Marky Mark, but Hammer just wasn't that interesting. Sure, he was flashy, but As far as lyrical skills go, he's about the same level of rapper as Parappa the Rapper. Which is not to say Hammer had no skills as an entertainer. He was a great hype man, he was a consummate showman, he loved entertaining, and the dude could dance like nobody. But hype and live shows aren't real high priorities to gangsta rap. What matters is lyrics and flow and the ability to project realness, the exact opposite of Hammer's strengths. So a change of pants wasn't gonna do it. None of this came naturally to Hammer. Even the name of the album is off. The Funky Headhunter.
Beware of Hammer, the Funky Headhunter.
Not only does that not sound gangsta, it doesn't even sound 90s. It sounds like a super old school lyric from like a Sugar Hill Gang song or something. Here are the titles of actual gangsta rap albums from that era. Doggy Style, Ready to Die, Back the Fuck Up, Lethal Injection. And meanwhile, here's Hammer like, I'm the Funky Headhunter, y'all. I'm about to get busy. Clap your hands, everybody. But let's look at the song that introduced the world to hardcore Hammer, Pumps and a Bump.
Pumps and a bump, pumps and a bump. We like the girls with the pumps and a bump. Pumps and a bump, pumps and a bump. Give me the girls with the pumps and a bump. That's when I bump, then I hear another song.
Now, Pumps and a Bump is, in the grand hip-hop tradition, a song about ass. Which, honestly, maybe not the worst idea. Hammer wasn't gonna sell a song about killing cops, but booty anthems, that was still a proven seller in hip-hop. It's not specifically gangsta, but it's something a gangsta rapper could conceivably release. It's a way to be gangsta without being gangsta. I think it was a smart move. Okay, so here's the problem. First off, calling a big butt a bump. You know, maybe I'm misremembering the 90s, but I'm pretty sure that didn't catch on. It's better than humps or lumps, which we got 10 years later, but bump, I don't know. When I hear bump, I think oral herpes. And also, there is one major bump everyone was talking about after the video, and it was not any girls' butts. Nice bulge, Hammer. Yeah, right at the camera. Make it like it's going through the screen, right into people's living rooms. Why, it's almost like I can touch this. Yeah, that's a lot of Hammer all at once. And you may remember this move from other family-friendly stars trying to change their image. But usually this only works for teenagers moving into adulthood, so that they can demonstrate that they're reaching sexual maturity alongside their audience, and of course various middle-aged pervs get to enjoy it too. Hammer, meanwhile, was much older than his audience of little kids. So him waving his dick isn't like, oh, check me out, I'm growing into my sexuality. It's more like being flashed by your youth counselor. Please, Hammer, don't hurt him. This video actually was too hot for MTV, and they had to change it to this alternate version. Probably for the best. And here's the thing, I think the actual song is honestly kind of good. In fact, it's probably my favorite Hammer song. And even the whole album is in a lot of ways a lot better than his first view. Hammer's flow is way tighter. And his beats are a lot better too. He recruited all the hottest producers of the time, and I don't know, maybe I just never mentally aged past the mid-90s, but that 90s G-Funk synth and bass still does it for me way more than anything else ever will. So, you know, Pumps and a Bump is okay. And even at the time, I remember it being decently big. It even got a shout out from Fifth Harmony last year.
Pumps and they bump, pumps and they bump. I be that girl with that pumps and they bump.
Cannot believe that happened. But while it did get decent airplay, it sure wasn't "You Can't Touch This" big. One single does not a comeback make, and the flaws in Hammer's new approach became especially evident on the second single, "It's All Good."
It's all good.
Okay, the first problem with It's All Good is that it's a diss track. You don't name a diss track It's All Good. Now this song is actually aimed at Redman. Apparently Redman had taken some shots at him. Yeah, he's not gonna name names, even though he totally does at the end. But listening to the chorus, you'd think that Hammer was trying to squash the feud and make nice. Secondly, Hammer still danced. A lot. A lot. I mean, it was his primary skill. He had to. Of course, he did make sure to dance like a gangsta. You know, there's a lot more stomping involved. He made sure to keep that goofy grin off his face. But still, it exposes the lie pretty clearly. The way you dance like a gangsta is you don't dance. It made his entire hardcore pose look like just choreography. He treated it like dance steps that he learned and performed. And say what you want about the thong and pumps and a bump, but this video is the real embarrassment to me. Grrr! I'm a toughie. The lyrics don't really sell it either. There's a lot of callbacks to his previous singles. Yeah, you know, the songs that he's trying to make people forget? I think he's trying to recontextualize his old hits into his new image, but it does not work. LL Cool J and Drake already had hard songs in their past that they could call back on when they needed to reestablish their cred. Hammer didn't have that. He had nothing. So these callbacks are actively undermining it. It's just reminding people that this guy is actually this guy.
Yo, sweet. Now that's the way the Hammer runs for the border.
The need to sell how hard he is a big problem with the album. It just never stops. Every other line uses the word gangsta, or G, or OG. Some words I don't remember hearing were any profanities, which is, you know, that's a pretty big tell. There's not even a parental advisory sticker, I don't think. Also, I'm not sure he knows that OG stands for Original Gangsta.
About the true OGs, not gangsters with pins.
MC Hammer wasn't a gangster, but he especially wasn't an original gangsta. He was not originally a gangsta, and everyone knows that. His other big move is to lean on his success to get respect. You know, I made millions of dollars. As far as anyone knew at the time, he still had it, so there you go, I'm rich, bitch.
Getting mad 'cause over 20 million sold, and now they try to diss 'cause they can't get gold.
I went gazillion times platinum. You have to respect the cash. No, they did not have to respect that. In fact, that's the whole reason they don't respect you. I mean, yeah, you made a lot of money, but that's because you're a pop doofus who dances for KFC. But here's the really ironic thing. In real life, Hammer is serious as fuck. He may not have been a thug, but he was from the streets, and because he was generous enough to employ his entire neighborhood, he had all sorts of gang connections, and he was not afraid to use them. Many of the people who stepped to him have stories about coming close to death because they beefed with Hammer. But he just couldn't make it come across. No matter how much bass he puts in his voice, it doesn't sound convincing. He doesn't sound hard, he just sounds defensive and butthurt and like he doesn't know what he's doing.
I got the dance steps as you bump on in your boombox.
You're a gangster because you have the dance steps. And as much as I love 90s hip-hop, the constant diss tracks and feuds of the time, I don't think they've aged all that well. Go back to it and everyone sounds whiny and thin-skinned, and it all kind of seems like just a waste of time. Did Dre have to spend the entirety of the Chronic telling Eazy-E to eat a dick? Who benefited from that in the end? And Hammer might have been the most thin-skinned of all, because he takes on just goddamn everybody.
What you say, Hammer? Proper.
We're about to break them off something proper.
Okay, a little backstory. One of the first acts to call Hammer a sellout was A Tribe Called Quest, who took aim at him in their single Check the Rhyme.
Check the rhyme.
Check the Rhyme is an all-time classic for the record. You on point tip all the time. Yeah, I love that song. Anyway, they specifically made fun of Hammer's Pepsi commercials.
We secretly replaced his Pepsi with Coke.
Oh no! Coke products have taken away all of his talent. Fortunately, Pepsi will restore him to the epitome of coolness that is MC Hammer. God, the Cola Wars were weird.
Proper.
Anyway, I guess Q-Tip didn't like that, so he took some shots.
Improper. What you say, Hammer? Proper. Rappers not pop. If you call it that, then stop.
So of course Hammer had to fire back, and he did it by sampling Q-Tip directly.
What you say, Hammer? Papa.
Break 'em off, something proper.
Yep, so here we are. Hammer versus Q-Tip.
I'm telling millions not to run of the mill, and like Big Daddy said, I'm wondering how you got a record deal.
He had a rap deal because he's a better rapper than you, Hammer. How dare you? How dare you?
Step right up and be the next contestant. A Tribe Called Quest is a bad investment. I'm breaking them off, something proper.
Burn?
A Tribe Called Quest is a bad investment.
Is that like a pun or a reference or something? What are you talking about? Now, when we talk about rap beefs in the 90s, it always comes back to Biggie and Tupac. How they died, what a tragedy it was, what a stupid, pointless waste, and how we all needed to increase the peace, stop the violence. But if you ask me, Hammer versus Q-Tip, there's never gonna be a rap beef more depressing than this. It's Q-Tip.
Can I kick it? Can I kick it?
And Hammer.
Every time you see me, the hammer's just so hype. I'm dope on the floor and I'm magic on the mic.
Can't we all just get along? This is like finding out Carl Sagan and Mr. Rogers got in a fist fight.
Man, what about Run DMC?
Oh, right, and he took some shots at Run DMC, too. Why the hell not?
Around 10 years, but they've been dead since 89.
Big words coming from a guy who was passé after 91. Did any of these people even notice that Hammer was attacking them? It's just forced. And like I said, the tragedy is that Hammer actually demonstrates some lyrical skills for the first time and has some fantastic production. I think he could have been a really good rapper, and that he just didn't really focus on that part of his act when it mattered. This album is not that bad. There's a lot of good stuff here, but it was never going to succeed because it's all in the service of such a bad idea. Honestly, he might have had a better chance if he just stayed MC Hammer. Pop rap wasn't dead in 1994. It had more of an edge, but it was still around. Could have had those G-Funk beats without having to use the word gangsta every other line. If he had, I think he could have survived. After Biggie and Pac died, everyone wanted to cool things down. Will Smith's big solo move was just around the corner. Hammer could have waited it out. As it was, Funky Headhunter sold one-time platinum, which was a big step down for him, but also just big enough that people would always remember the image of Hammer at the most flop sweaty, wannabe phase of his career. And I gotta be honest, as many elements as I liked from this album and as much of a nostalgia buzz I got from it, the whole project just made me feel kinda sad. The whole MC Hammer story reads like Shakespearean tragedy now. His crime was that he just wanted to be loved. In the end, I don't think Gangsta Hammer is how Hammer wants to be remembered. That isn't what Hammer was about. He was about fun and good times, and that's why there's still a lot of affection for the man even now. Do him a favor, forget about this album. Remember him at his height. Whatever you want to say about the guy, he has a substantial legacy in helping to make hip-hop the cultural powerhouse it is today, and you have to respect that. And I am definitely saying that because I don't want Hammer to call his homies and have them kill me. Peace.